Welcome to Bareboat Sailing Charters. My name is Bill Bowman and I'll be going over your boat with you. The purpose of this instructional video is to provide you with useful information on the operation of your particular boat and to speed your check-in in Newport, giving you time to unpack, relax, and enjoy. At Bareboat Sailing Charters, we spend a great deal of time maintaining our boats to provide you with the safe, reliable vessel for your vacation. Happy boating! We're in the J54 DS Club Carp. I'm going to walk you through the boat. Let's go down below. We're going to go over the nav station on the J54 DS Club Carp. We're going to start with the AC/DC distribution center. On the DC side, you have your cabin lights breakers. There are 5 breakers. They should all be in the on position for your lights to work. They're labeled in yellow, as are all the switches throughout the boat to coordinate with this. Below that you have your 12-volt DC plugs. That's for plugging in your cell phone charger, laptop charger, etc. Below that your cabin fans, the tricolor light, which we ask that you do not use, your stove valve, which is gas for the stove, and we ask you to turn off when you're not using the stove. In the next column you have your VHF radio. Then you have your instruments 1 and 2 breakers. These both must be on for the electronics to work. Then you have your macerator breaker, which is your waste tank discharge, your stereo breaker, and on the third column you have your bilge pump, which we ask that you leave on, your water pump labeled in blue, your shower pump 1 through 3, which coordinates with each shower, and that's to drain the shower pan, your toilet pump, which gives water to the toilet, and then your seawater pump. Then on the AC panel, you have your shore power generator. So depending on what position you have this, you either activate your shore power or your generator breaker. As it stands right now, it is set for the generator to be on. You have your first 50 amp column, you have an inverter, the AC main, your forward air conditioning control, and your air conditioning pump. In your second 50 amp column, you have your hot water heater, your AC outlets 1 and 2 for the outlets throughout the boat, and on your third column, you have the 30 amp column, which is your aft air conditioning, your refrigerator, the 12-volt charger, and the battery charger. And one word of note, if you have any questions about the boat, and to confirm your checkout time, we ask that you call 401-474-0705. Located on the back of the nav station, you have your secondary shore power panel, or shore power number 2. You have your main breaker and your transfer. Next to that, you have your genset control. To run the generator, you hit the glow plug down, you push up to start, and then when you're done, you depress this to stop. The J54 DS is equipped with 2 Raymarine E120s, one at the helm and one at the nav station. We're currently at the nav station unit. First of all, as noted, you must turn this unit on first and turn this unit off last. And you do that with the power button located here. You utilize this in the most basic form for navigation. You have your 5 soft keys, your trackpad, your range in and out, and your page set. So if you want to utilize this, for instance, to say you're going to Block Island, you would range out till you see Block Island, move your cursor, and it will give you a range and a bearing to Block Island. To get back to your boat, you hit Find Cursor, Find Ship. That returns the cursor to the boat, and you range back in. That brings us to Newport Harbor. You also have your page set, and that will allow you to get to your radar. You depress the page, you depress the radar key. Now we are in radar mode. To transmit, as the screen says, you depress the red power button, and then you depress transmit. And transmit is indicated by the yellow moving circle. When you're done, you depress standby. And a word of note, if you're sailing using the radar, you want to run your engine at least every hour to charge the batteries. If you're motoring, it's not as important. The scanner uses quite a bit of voltage. And also, to get back to your page set, you must hit cancel to get out of the transmit page. You hit page again and go back to your chart. Then moving forward, we must note that you have a label here at the nav station to remind you that you are on Club Carp with a draft of 7 feet and your home mooring is mooring number 677. And as we move forward to the nav station, you have your ICOM VHF marine radio. The J54 also has an Eldridge Tide book, a waterproof chart, which we recommend that you keep with you when you're sailing in the cockpit. This is a great reference for telling you where you should and should not go, i.e. you want to avoid the fish nets off of Brenton Point in Newport or the reefs off of Cuttyhunk. Your boat also has a embassy cruising guide for the New England coast, and this is a wealth of information. We've highlighted some of your more popular cruising destinations. For instance, if you wanted to go to Newport, you would open up the Newport tab. You have a picture with a chart of the harbor, where your fuel and water is, your mooring area, your phone numbers for all your services, mooring information, and then as you go forward, as you're going through your destination, you will also find an aerial photograph of the harbor, which is good to view. Again, an excellent source of information. Also located in your chart table, you have your waterproof chart books and your navigation tools. Located under the AC panel, you have your Ruley bilge pump switch, which we recommend that you leave on auto. Under your E120, you also have an electric foghorn. And then also located in the nav station of the J54, you have your binoculars, flare kit, air horn, wooden plugs, and any other safety gear you might look for. We're in the main cabin of the J54 DS. The boat has 3 cabins forward, 2 of which can be converted into a single. You also have a fire extinguisher mounted by the mast, 1 below the nav station, and 1 mounted aft in the cockpit locker. And also, as we noted, all of the light switches in the boat are labeled in yellow and are located throughout various locations. Some of the light switches, predominantly in the forward cabin, are actually on the fixtures themselves, and again, they have labels to coordinate that. We're in the forward part of the main cabin on the J54 DS. To access the water manifold, you roll the carpet back, lift up the floorboard, which is behind the settee, and then you access your water manifold here, which is your port and starboard water tank. We're in the galley of the J54 DS. Located in this portion of the galley, you have your utensils. You have your sink. Stored in the compartments behind the stove, you have your plates and pots. You have your dish drain. Then you have your gas stove. And as we noted, when you want to use the stove, you want to make sure that you only have the gas on when you're cooking. To utilize the stove, you take your lighter, you light it, press the knob, turn on. When the stove lights, you hold it for about 5 seconds and then release. The stove should be lit. We also ask that you do not cook any fish in the boat.